Today I'm going to talk about a bunch of different commands that we can do in OnShape. So let's get started. Let's go to our Create button, Document. We're going to call this Demo 3, and we'll hit OK. And as always, when it opens up, I'm going to turn off my two planes, my top and my right plane, because I only want to see my front to start with. I'm going to go to my little view cube. Actually, we'll go and make our sketch first. Select the front plane, put our sketch on. I'm going to move my little sketch box out of the way. And I'm going to select front on my view cube. I'm going to start off with a couple lines, and I'm going to draw some lines, and I want you to watch what happens when I start making my other lines. So I'm going to draw this line right down here, and now I'm going to draw a line coming up in this direction. Now notice when I get right about there, my first line turns orange. It goes from blue to orange. And if you look just to the right of my line that I'm drawing right now, you'll see a little, looks like an upside down T. That means perpendicular. Okay, so OnShape is now telling me that these two lines are perpendicular at 90 degrees to each other. So I'm going to click right there and set that line. I'm going to bring a line across this way. And as you can see, as I'm bringing it across, there's a little black horizontal line. That means I'm drawing this line horizontally. Now, as I pass over the origin, you'll notice I get that orange dotted line. That's telling me that the point that I'm currently drawing with is right over the top of the origin. I can keep going. Okay, and I could probably come over here. If I just come down and just not even click, but just touch that, I can also do the same thing for that point. So I'm going to bring a line over here, and then I'm going to bring another line down. Again, it's lining up to the origin. And I'll bring another one over in this direction. And let's just tilt it up just a little bit, and maybe one or two more lines in here like this. There we go. I'm going to hit escape to get on my line command. So now I'm going to look at some of the commands that I have up here. This first one is called coincident. Okay, it's going to take the endpoint of one line and connect it to the endpoint of the second line. Okay, so I just put those together. We're going to skip over this concentric one. The next one over here is parallel. So let's make two lines parallel. Let's grab this first line and that second line. And you notice that it takes the second line and makes it parallel to the first. Okay, we'll skip over the tangent. We'll get that one, get to circles. I have horizontal, so we can make some lines horizontal. So let's go click this and make that one horizontally. I have a vertical line, so we can come over here and we can click on this line and make it vertical. Okay, and we have the perpendicular line, so we could probably come over here and we'll click on these two, and maybe we'll make these two perpendicular to each other. And you can see how it's starting to make some of the shapes, and maybe I'll do one more. I'm going to make this line horizontal, stick it down like that. Let's go over and draw some circles. So I'm going to draw a circle here. I'll draw another one down there. Maybe I'll draw one over here somewhere, and maybe one more right there. So let's go see what other commands we can, geometric constraints that we have with round objects. So the first one is concentric. What it's going to do is going to take the center of one circle and it's going to put it on the center of a second circle. So it's going to move the second one onto the first one, right? The next one is tangent. So I can take two circles and make them tangent. Okay, so they're going to touch at one point and one point only. I can take a circle and a line, make them tangent. I can take a circle and a second line and make them tangent. Okay, so that's what the tangent one is. The last one that I think is going to come in real handy is this one is the midpoint. And then we have another one which is called lock or fix, right? It looks like a little horizontal line with some furry hair hanging down from it. That's called fix. That one will actually work as a lock. It'll lock something in place. Now notice as I clicked on those, it locked those in place. It turned them black. So I can click on that one and it turns it black. It's going to lock it in place so I can't move that line. Okay, so that's another constraint that I can put on it. I can do the same thing for circles. Actually, I can grab the center of the circle so it locks it in position. So now I can't, as you notice, when lines start turning black, that means you're locking them down, right? When they're blue, that means they can still move. So if I went back and I got out of the lock command, you can see some of these blue lines, how I can then turn around, I can still move them. But if I turn around and lock them down, click on these, get out of there and try to move this line. See, now I can't move that line. So I permanently lock that line down. So those are some of the geometric constraints, and we're going to probably play with those a little bit later on in the course. But those are some of the geometric constraints that you'll find within OnShape. Hope you like this part of the video. I am going to go on and I'm going to show you some more cool commands. So I'm just going to window, left click, hold my mouse button down, window all that. I'm going to right click, and we're going to hit delete all those items. Okay. I'm still in the front view. I'm actually going to draw some lines, but I want to make sure I start at my origin. So I'm going to draw a line there, and we'll draw another line. I'm going to just move my cursor on here. I'm not clicking. I'm going to bring it straight up so I can see that I'm going to be lined up. I'm going to put another one right there, and then I'm going to create one more line. We'll bring this one straight down. Click. I'm going to make this one a little bit longer. I'm going to go to my 3-point arc command, and I'm going to put an arc from here down to here. I'm just going to draw it out like that. I'm going to do one more arc from here down to here. Draw that arc. Okay, so I put some arcs. Well, now I'm going to use some of these geometric constraints. I'm going to go up to tangent. I'm going to click on this line and that arc, make them tangent. I do the same thing with that line and that arc, and I'll keep going. That line and that arc, and that line and that arc. So they're tangent and nice and smooth. Okay, so I have this kind of weird looking S shape. Right, I'm going to finish this sketch. Okay, I'm going to go into my isometric view. Okay, and now I'm going to go back and I'm going to turn on one of my planes, and I'm going to turn on my right plane. Okay, because my right plane, if I look at the front, will go right through that origin. There's my right plane right here. It goes right through the origin. So I want to do that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to make a new sketch on this right plane. And now I'm going to make a little circle. And I'm going to make a circle right on that origin. Just a little small one, not real big. Okay, and then I'm going to finish this sketch. So now I have two sketches over here, two open or unconsumed sketches. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this third command over here called sweep. Well, if I open it up, right, there it is. It's saying, oh, I need a face. So let's grab a face. We're going to grab that circle. And there's my little red box. So I'm going to click on my red box. If I hold my cursor on it, it says select entities for path sweep. So we're going to click on that. And now I'm going to go in order and I'm going to select all the points on my path, all these lines and arcs. And you can see when I hit check mark, I have, and we'll turn off these planes so you can see it very clearly. I have what they call a tube or something like that, some wiring or a tube. Okay. I'm going to turn back on my right plane because I want to see that. Okay. So that was a sweep command. So I just had, I made a path and then created a closed in structure and then use that structure to go around that path. Okay. The next thing is we're going to talk about working out in a space. Okay. So you've seen all the planes that we had. So if I turn them back on, you're going to see that I have the top, the front, right plane. I have my 3 basic planes and I can right click, hold my mouse button down and spin around so you can see those 3 planes. All right. Get back in isometric mode. I'm going to turn off my top one. And this time I'm going to actually turn off my front one. I don't really need the front one at all. Okay. And I'm going to take my little object. We'll spin around. I'm going to actually grab it and slide it up here in the corner a little bit. Definitely go into isometric mode. Oh, let me move back up in because I need the room. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this right plane and I'm going to make another plane out here in the space. So I'm going to come over here. When it turns on, I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit offset work plane. So it creates another plane. I can just grab my arrow. I can move it forward. I can move it back. I can put a number in there, whatever I want to put in. I'm just going to stick it way out of here. Right. There's my other work plane. So now I have 2 work planes. I have my front and I have this one right here. I'm going to work on this new plane. I'm going to right click and I want to put a new sketch on that plane. So let's put a new sketch on it and I'm going to hit my right cube. So I'm going to flip it back at me. So now it's sitting right at me. I'm going to go up to this new polygon tool and I'm going to make a polygon on this shape. It doesn't really matter. I'm purposely going to put it off to the side so you can kind of see what happens. So I'm going to make this polygon. Now I'm going to click once and I open up this polygon. Right? I'm going to open it quite large. Now I'm going to click again. Now you can see that arrow pop up. Now, as I move my cursor away from the center, the numbers get big, which means I get more sides. The closer I keep moving, boom, 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 you can see I can get all the way down to a triangle shape. Okay. And I might actually leave it like that in a triangle shape. We'll see what happens. All right. So now I've created my little triangle. I'm good with that sketch. I'm going to go into isometric view. And now you can see I have this triangle really far out from this S-shaped piece. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to this next command called Loft. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this triangle. And I'm going to come over here and grab this circle. Okay, so I grabbed 2 shapes, 2 enclosed shapes. And you can see when I hit the check mark, What it's done is actually taken this triangle and slowly, I'm going to use the term morphed it down into a circle. Okay, so I started off with a triangle shape. It's like extruding it back, but as it extrudes, it slowly morphs itself into a triangle or into a circle, from a triangle into a circle. I can do this with any shape that I want. I can do it with multiple sketches. I could do done a bunch of different sketches and going from one to another to another to another. But that's called Loft. All right. Now, this looks like a funky looking instrument, so let's make it into an instrument. Okay. I'm going to turn off my right plane. We'll turn that off. We'll hide it. Go over here, hide it. And I'm going to take this other plane, which is down here. We're going to turn that one off. Don't need to see it right now. While I'm in this mode, I don't need to get into 2D mode. I'm going to slide over here to this command right here. It's called shell. It's going to make what they call a thin-walled feature of something. So I'm going to click on shell. And it says, ooh, pick the faces that I want to remove. So I want to remove that end face. And I'm going to spin this around. And I also want to remove the face there. And right now the thickness is set at 0.1. So yeah, I'm like that. I like that. So you can see what happens if I look carefully. It just hollowed that whole thing out. It shelled it all out. Okay. So now it's hollowed all the way through. Right? Hollowed all the way through. So I kind of like that. So that's looking pretty good. We have one more feature to kind of show you. So I'm going to get back in isometric view. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to delete that shell because I want to put something on this end face right here. So I'm going to delete that shell. So what I'm going to do is on this end face, I'm going to right click and I want to put a new sketch on there. And I'm going to turn it right flat at me. I'm going to start using some text. Okay, because we're going to be using that for a project shortly. So I'm going to come up here, this little A, and it's the text tool. I'm going to click here. And I'm going to make a little tiny text box. And the text in here, I'm going to put my name. Yeah, I think that looks good. Actually, we'll make it a little bold. I like that. We're going to stick it right there. Okay. And I can move this around or do whatever I want to it. So I like it. I'm going to hit finish sketch. We're going to go into isometric mode. So you're going to see what's going to happen in a second. And I'm going to zoom into this area. So there's my name. This time I'm going to go back to extrude, which you've used before. And we're going to come over and we're going to select. I can either select individual letters or select them all. And once I select them, you can see, wow, they pop out. That's a little bit too much for me. I don't like that much. So make them a little bit smaller. Okay. And I can make some text stick out. If I don't like that, let's go back to the extrusion. Let's edit it. Well, I don't like it the way it's going, so let's make it go inward. And this time I'm going to hit the word remove. And if I rotate this around a little bit, you can see that I just cut into, let's hit the check mark first. You can see that I just cut into my object. Okay, so with that tool, if I make it stick out, it's called emboss. And if I cut it in, it's, I don't know, I'm thinking of missing the term right now. Okay, but you can see that I can make it stick in or stick out. And that's just the text tool. Right? So that is all I'm going to show you today. So we just kind of went over some geometric constraints. We went over the sweep tool with a path and an object that we have the object go along the path. We went over offset planes, real simple and easy. Grabbed an existing plane and made one. We went over the loft command or morph, if you want to call it that. Showed you how to do a shell. And the last thing is we showed you how to do some text. So that's my little short video for today.